Welcome to Monday. It's the 15th of November, 2021. Your day weather podcast brought to you by Chugwater Chili. You're going to want to head to chugwaterchili.com and take advantage of some great holiday discounts here in the month of November. Here we are, November 15th. Christmas is fast approaching, and this week the discounts at chugwaterchili.com have to do with some swag. 33% off of t-shirts, hats, aprons, and more at chugwaterchili.com. Boy, those are some great looking shirts and hats. Another great Christmas gift idea from chugwaterchili.com. Plethora of wind. Yeah, I hate to say it already. The complaints are piling up about the wind after what was really a nice fall, September, most of October. Now we're getting reminded where we live, the time of year. It's just the time of year, folks, when you get a lot of wind. It starts to pick up and becomes more common. And La Nina years in particular are very windy. It's going to be very mild, though. Temperatures are going to be well above average. To start the week today, temperatures today and most of Tuesday will be far above normal. In fact, there's going to be many areas making the 70s today and 70s again as we head on into Tuesday, or at least the 60s and low 70s. But be ready for the wind. We have a quick hitting cold front late Tuesday and Wednesday. Much colder air with this front. A little bit of mountain snow, a few showers in the plains. But as we have seen lately, these fronts come through making it windy and colder, but bring a little moisture, and that'll be the case again. Now, the long range, I know a lot of folks are already talking Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving week going to bring us? Well, I can tell you, it could bring us about anything. We have a lot of question marks and a lot of different scenarios that could unfold for Thanksgiving week. The long range forecast right now is really, really difficult to nail down because one day it looks like we could have great weather for Thanksgiving week. Next day it looks like, well, winter weather. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated with this podcast on what that Thanksgiving week is going to look like. Today's satellite photo shows a lot going on across the North Pacific. We got a frontal system right here. That's what's coming in late tomorrow and Wednesday. This cloudiness right here is basically just a lot of high level. A lot of these are lenticular clouds forming downwind of the mountains. No moisture under these clouds, but there'll be a lot of high and mid-level cloudiness. There's a little swirl here of low pressure showing on up, and other storminess going on up over the Aleutians here. Those cold sea surface temperatures continue to make for some stormy weather in the North Pacific right now and very strong jet stream winds. As we go through the next few days, we're going to show you what's going to happen between now and mid to late in the week. This is today's forecast chart for noon today. A big broad area of high pressure over the west. This is what's going to make it so mild. Here's that next cold front coming our way. And ahead of it, look at the warmth. Relative to average, a large swath of warm air being drawn in ahead of the front out of the deserts into the Rockies of Canada and most of the western United States. So this is why it's going to be so mild. But you'll probably have noticed the purple and the blue up here. Well, a chunk of that is what's going to come in behind the front. So temperatures by Wednesday will drop sharply. By Wednesday, we have a strong storm over southern Manitoba. We're going to see a pretty good swath of snow up here in central areas of Canada with this low, while wind and much colder air will come in behind the front. Now, there is going to be a little bit of moisture, but I think what you'll notice the most will be cold. So relative to average, by Wednesday afternoon, look at that delineation between the above average temperatures and below average temperatures. This is basically the leading edge of that cold front. So by Wednesday, we're looking at high temperatures in many areas only in the 30s to low 40s. So after 60s and 70s today, highs only 30s and low 40s in this region on Wednesday with a lot of wind, and that'll make it feel colder. A little bit of rain and snow shower activity, but as you can see, the further away you get from the Pacific Northwest coast, the lighter the amounts of moisture will be, and really not adding up to too much. A little bit of snow in the mountains, a few snow showers in the plains, but it's just a system that's not coming in very, very moist. Long term, this is for Saturday. Saturday, we don't have a terribly strong front, but we do have a trough coming in Friday night and Saturday. That's going to usher in some cooler northwest winds again, and maybe some mountain snow and a few rain or snow showers on the plains. So very mild and windy today and Tuesday. Windy and a lot colder Wednesday and Thursday. A brief warm up Friday, and then turning colder again by the weekend. Couple of things to point out here. We have a large area of blue and gray up here. This air up here is really, really cold. Anywhere you see this green or blue, the air on the ground is quite cold. So we've got cold air continuing to build. If we were to take a look at the wind, the strongest wind gusts between now and Thursday in this pattern, you can see how windy it is. Lots of 40s, lots of 50s, lots of 60s with the wind gusts from Colorado through the Dakotas, Nebraska, Montana, and Wyoming into the Pacific Northwest. This is just a very windy pattern, I'm afraid to say. Now let's take a look at the long term. We will update you every day this week on what we think is going to happen Thanksgiving week. Today, on this Monday, the 15th, what I'm going to tell you is that we are very far away, at least 2 or 3 days or longer, before we nail down the Thanksgiving week forecast. So if you've got travel plans, whether it's driving or flying somewhere, it's a wide difference of scenarios that could unfold. Why? Because we continue to build up a tremendously cold air mass up here, and eventually, folks, the dam will break. The question is, when is the dam going to break and that cold air cut loose? Let's take a look at the 3 major global models that we use to forecast the weather. The GFS, which is the Global Forecast System. This comes out of NOAA, the National Weather Service, or what we'd call the American model. It is showing by the Wednesday before Thanksgiving basically a pattern that we have now. Northwest winds aloft coming in to keep us cold, but not terribly cold. And any really stormy weather, according to this model, will be more towards the Great Lakes and the Upper Plains states, while the real cold air is bottled up to the north. The European model is somewhat similar, but I want you to notice the differences up north. The American model's got a really big pocket of super cold air here, northwest of Hudson Bay. The European has it more diffuse, plenty of cold, but more spread out. And it also has a northwest flow, a little ripple coming through late Wednesday into Thanksgiving Day, Thursday. But the Canadian model has a bigger trough getting pushed in to the central United States. Also notice it's different than the European model with that blue up there at the higher latitudes. And when you get into this time of year, folks, we live and die about what's going to be happening really up here when it comes to the weather in the Rocky Mountains and the high plains. And with such a difference in the jet stream forecast, where the cold air is going to be, where the troughs are going to be, we just have a big, big question mark, lots of question marks for Thanksgiving week, so stay tuned. Another factor is that with all this cold air up here, if it does cut loose, it changes everything. So right now, the models want to basically keep the dam from breaking. But we do have some modeling that does break the dam. I wanted to show you this. This is for the last day in November and the potential cold outbreak that could come into some parts of the country. The reason I wanted to show you this, see this right here? This would bring freezing temperatures to southern Georgia and central and northern Florida if it happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is what would happen if the dam breaks. And one reason why we continue to be concerned about it, we'll talk about this more. We talked about this in our long-range forecast video. Stratospheric warming events will likely happen this winter that will make it easier for very cold air to come off the polar regions into the lower 48. And what I'm showing you is the stratospheric temperature anomaly for Sunday, December 19th. So this is going out very, very far. But notice this dipole, basically this yin and yang. This is actually remarkable. What this is showing is a very warm stratosphere relative to average over the northwestern parts of Canada, up into parts of the Arctic Circle, and basically almost all of the North American continent, juxtaposed by a colder than average stratosphere right here. What this is best described at is, think of this as a terrain map, to where this would be a mountain where the stratosphere grows tall and gets thick, and this would be a big basin or valley where the stratosphere is much thinner. What will happen is, by the expanding stratosphere right here, if this happens, the stratospheric warming trend, that's going to cut loose some very cold air into the month of December, into the lower 48. Where exactly the cold air goes, could it end up out west? Maybe. Could it end up here? Probably more likely, or somewhere in between. But the writing is on the wall. As we get into late November, as we get into December, it could get very wild with winter weather across the lower 48 states. The trick is going to be, who's going to be impacted the most? Is it going to miss us to the east, or will it be here in the western United States, or are we going to be right on the edge? So stay tuned. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have yourself a good Monday. Don't blow away.